are weakly connected to the core. Moreover, due to the high temperature, these connections were further weakened. During the collapse of the floors due to the dent, the core's support would simply break. With almost no connection to the core, the result is clear: the collapse of the entire top floors downwards. The mass of the top 15 floors was equivalent to the Titanic, coming in at a mind-blowing 38,000 tons. In addition, the Hat Truss and the Boeing were also falling down. The sudden impact force of this huge weight over the floor right below it trashed the lower floors. The perimeter tubes also almost immediately buckled, since the impact of in nature. This caused an unfortunate chain reaction, and one by one, the floors kept crashing down. The weight also kept increasing as the building collapsed. When viewing footage of the tragedy, you must have surely seen the shredding of the perimeter columns during the collapse. This was due to buckling. The North Tower came down in 13 seconds, and the South Tower took just 11 seconds. Did you know this exact scenario was tested before the towers were constructed? In the plane crash test, this tower design stood well enough. However, the engineers did not consider two conditions. One was the fire from the gallons of jet fuel, and the second was the size of the plane. At the time of the test, the largest plane the engineers considered was the Boeing 707, which was half the size of the one that actually hit. The One World Trade Center tower, which was erected in the honorable position of the twins, consists of measures to improve rescue strategies and the building's thermal design. In the One World Center, the engineers built a thick wall of reinforced concrete surrounding the egress stairs. This thick concrete wall acts as the core of the building. For obvious reasons, they moved away from the steel core design. During an airplane crash, the concrete core will stay strong. Regarding the floors, this time they didn't expose any of the steel structure, opting to cover it completely with concrete. This prevents any chance of floor steel structure sagging due to a rise in temperature. The government also incorporated many new regulations for building safety. With these new safety measures in place, the new One World Trade Center is the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Now that you understand the physics of the collapse well, here is an interesting question for you. After being struck, the North Tower stood strong for 1 hour and 42 minutes before collapsing. However, the South Tower collapsed in just 56 minutes. What could be the reason for this time difference? The reason is the weight of the floors above the crash region. The South Tower crash happened 14 floors lower than the North Tower. This means the South Tower had to carry a much higher load during the fuel burn time. This would obviously lead to easy buckling. This is the reason why even if the North Tower was hit first, it collapsed second. Generally, during a fire accident, the stairs play a major role in evacuating the occupants. However, in this case, the stairways could only save a few people. This was mainly because most of the stairs became obstructed by gypsum debris. Also, all the stairs were located in the central core area. According to the reports, the South Tower's A staircase was the only one which was usable. Many people compare the 1945 Empire State Building crash with the 9/11 attack. The Empire State survived, but the World Trade Center did not. The reality is that these two events are simply incomparable when considering the size of the airplane involved in the crash. The airplane involved in the Empire State Building incident was a tiny bomber aircraft, whereas the World Trade Center was struck by a gigantic passenger aircraft. The care engineers gave while constructing the foundation of the Twin Towers was incredible. You can see a strange concrete wall within the soil and around the building. This is known as a slurry wall, and its main duty is to prevent water intrusion from the nearby Hudson River. Look at the way they've strengthened the concrete walls using tieback cables. The engineers were able to locate a strong bedrock at a depth of 7 stories. The concrete foundation of this building progressed from there. The engineers called this new foundation technology a bathtub. Interestingly, the bathtub foundation also accommodated 2 tunnels. This strong foundation was the main reason why the impact force of such a gigantic airplane couldn't topple the building. The Twin Towers may not have collapsed if the terrorists had hit the building, say, 5 floors above the actual hit location. Or, if instead of a perimeter tube design, a normal steel skeleton column design was used. It may also have been avoided if the engineers had used a strong joint at the floor-core connection. Even the terrorists behind the attack likely could not have imagined all the physics that happened after the plane crash, or even anticipated such a monumental building collapse. Sometimes, physics is cruel.
You can see the huge amount of debris which was formed after the collapse of Twin Towers. Surprisingly, when they cleared the debris, you can see a column which is standing strong and brave. This is a column from the central core of the building. I know even after all this scientific explanation about the collapse, I will be able to read in the comment section what about WTC 7 tower? It got collapsed even though it was untouched by the airplane. There is a scientific explanation for that as well, but not in this video. This video is only 15 minutes long. Just give me 1 week of time, we will cover that portion as well. Now about this brave column, it is currently shifted to a museum dedicated to WTC Memorial. And this column is still standing strong there. But if you like to see this channel to stay strong, please support us on Patreon. We are not doing well financially. Hoping for your support. Take care. Bye bye.
The 2023 Raptor R. Don't hate and get a V8. Ford listened to the immense customer demand and added back a V8 to the Raptor lineup. For this third generation, as a package, you can get the Raptor R. It's about $40,000, and Ford shoehorns in the GT500 Predator 5.2-liter supercharged V8 that is cross-plane crank. Obviously, there's some internal changes, but it makes 700 horsepower and 650 foot-pounds of torque. Now, let's be honest, we've already had some third-generation Raptor experiences. Mark went 0G with his beloved chocolate-covered strawberries in the V6 Raptor in Joliet. We had a walk-around with one of the development leads of the Raptor R in Michigan, and of course, we attended the launch program where I got to jump Mark, dislodge his spleen, and overall terrorize him. However, this is the real world. We're back in Illinois. And the sad truth is, the majority of Raptor Rs are going to be mall crawl, they're going to tailgate you in traffic, and then be torn around on B roads, at least country B roads, and that's what we're going to try to do in this video. The Raptor R is essentially just a package on the 37-inch tire-equipped regular V6 Raptor. In fact, there are essentially no changes. It maintains the 5-link rear end, which is the big evolution for the third-generation Raptor. They ditched the leaf springs, they went to coils on the back, which helps them maintain superior traction levels, which is what they needed to add in 700 horsepower. The rest of the truck is what you know. It's got adaptive Fox dampers, has an unbelievable amount of travel, enormous tires. We've covered this in depth in our original video. It is a very capable truck with a tremendous amount of electromechanical systems that allow it to do what it does, which essentially is near Baja trophy truck levels of performance in a truck you can buy in your dealership, assuming you're okay with a $50,000 markup. Now let's talk about drivetrain, because that's the big story. This is the Predator 5.2-liter V8. It's right out of the GT500. However, there have had to be some changes for the Raptor R. Starting off with oiling, there are slight changes to oiling in the head. Gets a different oil pan due to the fact that this is going to be tilted at higher approach and departure angles than a GT500 will ever experience. The intake system is entirely different. It's been tuned specifically to make more torque and less horsepower. In truck applications, you want low down torque, and honestly, you're not living up high in the RPM band. When it comes to the gearbox, obviously it is four-wheel drive with the ability to go rear-wheel drive, which makes this distinct versus something like a TRX, but you don't get a dual clutch like you get in the GT500. You get Ford's ubiquitous 10-speed automatic, which has been tuned specifically to the Raptor R's application. Now, when it comes to exterior and interior, it's essentially the same as a regular Raptor. It's a 5.5-foot bed, it's a wide body, and it's very well equipped in the interior space. They figured out storage in the doors, the infotainment works well, the seats are incredibly comfortable. These basically Recaro sport seats are heated and cooled, very comfortable. The rear seat area is enormous. You can use this as your only vehicle. It's very practical in that regards. Ergonomics are near perfect, great storage solutions in the center console area. I mean, this is stuff we've all talked about. Ford knows that the F-150 is the most important thing to the product portfolio, and they've done an excellent job with this thing. They have not screwed it up. Now, with all of that said, I think it's time for us to take this for a drive on our favorite back road.
why you'd pay $150,000 with a markup for this truck.
Mark, if I was in charge of Ford marketing, I would name this thing the Meathead Masterpiece. Yeah!
Rolling burnouts in a fucking V8 truck for $150,000. So that's why you pay for this.
Basically, you take the TRX, you make the engine a little less special, and then you disconnect the front axles. That's what you get with this thing. You get a truck that can light them up. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus. I need to change your name and put some type of supercar tie-in with your name so you could be the douchebag influencer that buys this just to break it for views.
I mean, honestly, right, this truck is so unreasonably pointless that it is tremendous in its excess.
Who's buying this? Like Raptor enthusiasts? People that love the Raptor and just want the V8?
People who have the anatomy of a Ken doll and they want to compensate for that, or, and that's the one extreme, right, the Raptor enthusiast, it's like V6 isn't enough.
No, that's me. I hate the V6 Raptor.
Well, then you buy this, or
no,
you buy
I'm
a
not
TRX.
spending 150 with markups or 200 with markups. Are you f***ing crazy?
Yeah.
I don't care if this thing does. I told you this earlier. I don't care if it has a V8, a V12. This thing is not worth that kind of money. I could get it for TRX prices.
Yeah. The problem is the price, right? The pro is, it's amazing. The problem is it's too much goddamn money. But in a couple of years, when they stop making this thing, you're going to wish you had one. And I think that's sort of like the summary of this truck.
If you love trucks and you want a collectible truck, I'm sure this thing's going to be worth $1 kajillion in 20 years. Because it is special in what it is today. It's hard to put it in perspective. I keep looking at all these cars and trucks that we're getting into. And I'm so checked out. I'm like, how are people affording $150,000 for like all these different types of weird cars? They're not worth this type of money. But at the same time, like when you remove yourself from the price tag and you kind of connected the engineering part that they did with this, and we did off-roading stuff.
And it's incredible what it can do.
It is. But when you get it on the street, it's really, really hard for me to justify this as a street truck other than just having money to blow on it.
I think the regular core Raptor, and I said this to you off camera, I don't like trucks, right? I hate having to drive them in traffic. They're too big. They're hard to get in and out of parking spots. Like, they're so big now because they have to be all things, all people.
Yeah.
Trucks in the past were work vehicles or off-road vehicles. Now you buy a pickup truck to use it as like a Suburban.
Yeah.
Like Pat Long, a Porsche race car driver, told me that. He's like, the reason I buy GMC pickup trucks is they cost less than a Yukon and it's the same shit. And to that point, it's also the problem I have with driving trucks around. They're too big. But the Raptor, particularly with the 5-link rear end, rides so well.
It does ride well. I mean, you also have probably, $10,000+ worth of damper tech in this truck. I mean, that makes a huge difference in terms of ride quality on the street. So, I mean, we talked about it to death in the past Raptor videos. This is no different. It's just now we have it on the street to see what it's like to live with, and there's not a lot of livability issues aside from the
9.4 miles per gallon.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious. The TRX is going to be the same shit. If you're really using this, you don't care about fuel economy.
No, you don't. You're buying this because the motor is comical, and unlike the TRX, it does burnouts. I mean, other than that, man, I mean, it rides maybe a little better. I think the interior is better, and based upon our experience with Dodge products versus Ford products, I hate to say I think the Ford is marginally going to be more reliable than a TRX is going to be. But other than that, man, I mean, I'm really happy Ford makes it. I love this.
It is a cool truck. Like, this is, and I know we said this before, like in the previous videos, it's the thing if you were a kid and you liked, like, trucks and cars and all that, this is the embodiment of everything that you thought of. It's shouty on the outside. It looks the part. It feels the part. It can do jumps. It makes V8 noises. It can do burnouts. It's just, do you put a value on paying that type of price for this in something that's not,
It's not particularly fun to drive, to be honest. Outside of doing what I just did, which you would never do in your own truck. You would never do that. Yeah. To me, I hate to be that guy. If you like the way this thing looks and you like the off-road performance and the all-weather performance, I wish they made the regular Raptor with the Coyote V8 instead of the EcoBoost, and it would be sort of like that perfect truck.
To me, like the thing that I think that it's missing, and I hate to say this because the GT500, you know, when I think of, I'm not like, I've never been a Ford muscle car, pony car, all that type of person until I got into the 350 and 350R, and then we got in the GT500. The 500 is one of the most incredible experiences that you will have ever driving a car. It's loud, it's obnoxious, it's fast as it's super capable. There's something about this in the TRX that has been nerfed. It's not ridiculous enough. Like, I'm not saying the capabilities aren't there, but it's so subdued and so like I can't even say it. I feel like they softened every edge of this truck to a point where it should be like ridiculous to drive, and it's just when you're driving like normally.
You mean like the old Dodge Ram SRT10?
Yeah. There's too much refinement to this thing.
I see your point. I mean, I talked to the engineer, and I guess this is getting into more of a philosophical conversation. Because again, if you want to learn how this thing drives, go watch your other two Raptor videos.
Yeah, that's not what this is about.
At this price point of truck, right? It is. Let's say you're paying sticker, like 118, whatever. You're an older gentleman at that point,
Yeah,
right? And if you're an older gentleman, you're not going to want to put up, at least in the product planner's eyes, with a truck that just annihilates you to ride in. And I think that's the advantage this has, is that it does everything. It's just, to your point.
I feel like there's other things to do that. We're in the last days of these types of, unless regulations change, we're in the last days of these big V8, like monster-style, obnoxious gas guzzlers. And when we get to the quiet electric car era, you're going to be faster than this. You're going to do bigger rolling burnouts. You're going to obliterate tires in 2 seconds. And they're going to do everything better once they advance them. So why not embrace the fact that this is what it is? You're buying this because it's got a V8 in it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it like I do in the GT350, 16 miles away. You know, I want to feel like my body is actually under the engine bay, and that's not what this is. And I think it's a missed opportunity to take it to the next level. And to be fair, you're going to aftermarket the shit out of this thing, even with everything sorted out. You're still going to have to do exhaust and things to take it up a notch. Otherwise, you're just buying a regular Raptor at that point. I really do. I think you're getting a lot with the regular V6 Raptor already that this almost does identically.
So with that, Mark, I agree with you. And let's head into the final thoughts. Final thoughts on the Ford Raptor R. This is a truck that pulls at the heartstrings. This is a want versus need vehicle. Do you need a $120,000 Brodozer with a supercharged V8 that gets single-digit fuel economy? Yes, you do. You absolutely need it. But honestly, the regular Raptor, if you like what this truck has to offer, does 98% of it other than sound like a V8. And that's just the truth. And I guess if you are looking at this as the last hurrah for vehicles like this, like many of you are, you're going to love this thing. You're going to pay $160,000 with dealer markup and enjoy every single second of it. However, objectively, it's a lot of money for a truck, and most of the time, at least if you live out here in the Midwest, you're not going to be doing anything with it. It rides well, it is incredibly capable, but if you're just going to be putzing around in traffic, going to Whole Foods, in some ways, I think you're better off spending less money and just getting a TRX and getting it stolen and getting carjacked and all that other fun stuff. With that, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon.
This is going to be... Not worked out.
When I was little, I told my family that I was going to be a game show host when I grew up. And look at me now. It really warms my heart to see everyone working together to win at Bridge Burners. I didn't need to read either of those things. This is what I'd like to call an oldie but a goodie. It's been a long time since I've played either Wii Party or Wii Party U. And I had a lot of debate. I knew I wanted to play Wii Party today, but I wasn't sure whether to play Wii Party or Wii Party U. I picked Wii Party U. I smell good. I just took a shower, And I keep on smelling myself, and I'm actually impressed by how I smell right now. Usually I smell bad when I'm recording. The real question is, do I try to change the sauce, or do I just keep the sauce the same? I think most of the time it's always best to not change the recipe. So in my return to Wii Party U, I'm playing Board Game Island, but I'm going to use a different me. I have to look at my own videos from time to time to remember what I have and haven't done. It seems like I started playing regular Wii Party with Duty Dude, but I never really got very far. It looks like I played beginner difficulty and maybe standard difficulty, and that's where I stopped. So now I'm jumping to Wii Party U, but I am definitely going to use Duty Dude. I kind of like the idea of playing against Enrique Iglesias. I can be your hero, baby. That's him, right? Enrique. There he is. Enrique, Haruku, and Pan Pan. I can be your hero, baby. I do not need to know the rules. Hold the Wii remote vertically. Press A when ready. I don't remember this minigame. Clearly, neither does my Wii fucking remote. Why am I at the top? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm holding it vertically. Of course, I picked the wrong one. I don't understand why you gotta hold it vertically for this minigame. You'd think you'd be pointing at the screen, right? And it seems like the Wii remote thinks I should too. I don't hold it vertically. You are supposed to point it at the screen. I'm going left again. Figures. That's always the meteor shower. Is this like the Wii Party minigame that it's always... Well, no, that wouldn't make sense. Okay, my instinct says top, so I'm going bottom. God damn it. No, you just picked every single thing I picked. There was no randomization about that. You just picked whatever one I picked. Crazy. Now that I'm not in there, it will go to whatever one they're not at because I'm not there. It's crazy. They can always pick the right spot.
Okay, so next we're going to do the coupling section. The coupling section is important because it's everything that couples the truck to the trailer. It's how you get the electric and the air going from your truck to your trailer. And it's also how you make sure that you don't drop the trailer whenever you're going down the road, which would not be good. All right, so over here, you're going to start with all the items that couple the truck to the trailer. That's what is your coupling system. First, you have your air lines and electric lines. Your air lines are your red line, which is always your emergency line, and your blue line, which is called your service line. The green line is your electric line. So what you're checking on your air lines and your electric lines, you're making sure that they're all properly mounted and secured at both ends. You're also making sure that your air lines have no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're not leaking air. They're connected here, and they're connected up at the truck up here. All your lines. Your electric line is properly mounted and secured. It's not no abrasions, bulges, cuts, no frayed or exposed wires or splicing is going on. Your glad hands, which are these right here, are on each airline. You would have to remove them and you would check to make sure that they're not leaking air. There's a rubber seal on the inside of both of these, and you would make sure the rubber seal is not dry rotted or frayed or missing. So that's all the items up here. Then you would move down underneath the trailer, like so. You're going to check your trailer apron. This is the trailer apron. It's properly mounted and secured. It's made of metal, so it's not cracked, bent, or broken. There are no illegal welds or holes. Your trailer apron sits on your skid plate. This is your skid plate. It's part of your entire fifth wheel setup. The skid plate is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's properly lubed. There is no gap between your apron and your skid plate. If you see any air, any space whatsoever, that is very unsafe. It is incorrect. You need to relatch your truck to your trailer appropriately. So, we've covered the apron, we've covered the skid plate. You're going to cover the whole platform itself. All right, the platform that your sliding fifth wheel sits on, all of it is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's got no missing mounting bolts or any other mounting hardware. The mounting bolts themselves, all are present. None of them are cracked or broken. All right, your sliding fifth wheel, the entire thing is a sliding fifth wheel. It slides along this rail. No missing bolts. It's properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. The locking pins are in the fully engaged position so that this slide will move while you're going down the road. That would not be a good thing. Your fifth wheel operates with air. There's an air line right here, looks like you. All right, your air line is properly mounted and secured. Bulges or cuts, and it's not leaking air. To finish off talking about our sliding fifth wheel, we also need to come back here and you need to mention the clearance between your mud flap and your landing gear. You need to make sure that there is enough space to where when you make it, you're not going to damage your equipment by hitting the landing gear against your mud flaps on the back of your tractor. I'm going to come underneath the truck and trailer. And you're going to look up in between your skid plate. There's a gap right here. Inside this gap, you can see your kingpin. The kingpin comes off the bottom of your trailer. It looks like a knob. The kingpin itself is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. It's got some grease on it, so it's properly lubed. And the kingpin is where your locking jaws wrap around and lock. It goes around the shank of your kingpin. The locking jaws, some fifth wheel setups have a locking jaw, some have a bar, just a load bar, a locking bar. So up here, either your locking jaw or your locking bar is going to be securely latched in the fully locked position around your kingpin. It's properly mounted, secured, it's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not broken. Coming back to the outside, one more thing you need to mention, don't forget your release arm. Your release arm is properly mounted and secured, it's not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's in the fully locked position. And that would complete your coupling section. Okay, so next we're going to do the trailer, and we're just going to start right here at the front. You're going to look at the front of your trailer. You could call it either a header board or a bulkhead, either one. So I'm going to check my header board here, and I'm going to make sure that it is properly mounted and secured, it's not cracked, bent, or broken, and there are no missing rivets. I'm also going to check my trailer all down the side and just make sure there's no damage going down the side of the trailer as I continue doing my pre-trip inspection all the way down. I'm going to check the frame of my trailer all the way down as well, and I'm doing the same thing. It's all properly mounted and secured, no missing rivets. I'm going to check the underside of my trailer all the way down too. Now if you have skirts, as this one does, which helps with fuel economy, aerodynamics, you can come under here at the front and look at all the cross members and the bottom of your trailer. You're looking for holes in your floorboard. You're looking for missing, twisted, damaged cross members, and you're going to look at as many of them as you can from right here. And you want to check them all. Alright? You can still see quite a few of them, even from up here with the skirts on, and you go to the back and you do the same thing. And you want to check the complete underside of your trailer. So, I'm going to continue down, and you want to check your landing gear. You want to make sure that your landing gear is properly mounted and secured, it's not cracked, bent, or broken, it's in the fully raised position. You're going to check the shoes of your landing gear. They're not missing, they're not damaged. You would check that your handle works and that your landing gear raises and lowers appropriately, and you would want to make sure whenever you complete using your crank that you rest it in a secure location. Coming down, I'll continue looking for damage all the way down my trailer. You would be checking to make sure you have your DOT tape all the way down the side of your trailer with at least 50% coverage. It's not ripped, torn, or missing. We'll cover the light check and the reflectors and reflective tape later when we do our external light check portion. Once again, I'll be checking all my cross members and the floor of my trailer. I'm going to check the tandem release and the slide rail. So I've been checking my frame. I'm going to check the slide rail, and I'm going to check my tandem release. A tandem release might have a bar, or it might be a button that uses air. Either way, is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. Since this one operates off air, it's not leaking air. The slide rail is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. My pins are in the fully locked position. They need to be out. That means they are engaged. There's a pin here, and there's going to be a pin farther back. You have 2 pins on both sides of your trailer. You need to do a complete walk around and make sure that all 4 pins are out on each side of your trailer. While I'm here, I'm going to go up under the trailer, and I'm going to look at the brakes, and I'm going to look at the suspension system. So coming under here, I'll start with my brakes. I've got my brake hoses. I'll make sure they're all properly mounted and secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're not leaking air. They feed into my brake chamber. My brake chamber is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not leaking air. My slack adjuster with a push rod is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. And whenever my wheels are chalked and my brakes are released, I can pull it by hand, and it moves no more than 1 inch. To get a better view, you can see it on this other side right here. This is your slack adjuster with your push rod. It's on the back of your brake chamber. Sticking with my brakes, you would come in behind your tire and you'd look inside. I see that my brake drum is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's free of oil and debris. The brake shoe or brake lining inside the brake drum is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not worn, dangerous, or thin. That means it has at least 1/4 inch of friction material. It's also free of oil and debris. I can see that I have shock absorbers on this trailer. My shock absorber is properly mounted and secured at both ends. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not leaking. I have an airbag. My airbag is properly mounted and secured at both ends, on top and bottom. It has no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and it's not leaking air. My torque arm mount is right here. This mount is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, no missing bolts or bushings, nothing like that. And this itself is going to be a torque arm. This big piece of metal right here is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Now, some trailers are going to have torque arms, some trailers are going to have springs. You've got to be able to identify whatever piece of equipment you're looking at. But it's always going to be basically the same type of thing that you're looking for on suspension items. On the inside of my tire, I'm going to check my rim. I'm going to check it in between my duals. If you have a super single, which is called a wide base tire, you don't need to do that. But if you have duals, you do. So the rim itself, properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken on the inside or the outside or the middle. And there are no illegal welds or cracks. The inner and outer sidewall of each of my tires, I would inspect the same. All the tires are properly mounted and secured. There are no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they are not leaking air. They have the proper tread wear that is even. They have the proper tread depth of 2/32. They also are not leaking from the valve stem, which is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. I would check my tire pressure at the valve stem with an air gauge. I'm looking for at least 100 to 110 psi. I'm going to check and make sure I have all my lug nuts. There should be 10 of them. All are present. They're properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. There are no leaking trails coming off of them or powdery residue, which would indicate they're loose. There's also no cracks around the bolt holes, which would indicate they've been over-tightened. My hub seal has no missing bolts, properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, filled to the proper manufacturer's specifications, and it's not leaking. These trailers right here, as you can see, have air lines. It's because they are self-inflating tires. So I'd make sure the air lines have no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and they're not leaking air as well. I would inspect the second axle the same as I did the first axle. Another thing that you want to check whenever you're under your trailer is make sure that any of your lines, whether it be air or electric, make sure they're hanging at least 18 inches off the ground and that they're not dragging along the ground while you're driving on the highway. I'm going to check my mud flap for my splash guard. I'm going to make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, no missing bolts. The flap itself is not torn or missing. And I'm going to check my trailer doors. I'm going to make sure that my latches operate properly.